Hello, hello, and welcome. Trying to dry off my hands a little bit, but I just wanted to take a look at this picture here. And I love the dark, just the values of this, just the depth of the cave. This is from, it's called Pond Women. I got it on Etsy. So this is a printout, the light version. It comes in 3 versions. Dark, light, and lighter. So this is dark, light, and then there's actual lighter one. So I was debating on whether I wanted to dive into here and just work mainly just bringing the chroma out in these back areas, you know, pretty much all I'd have to do versus, you know, working on a hue, the values, and the chroma. I did order some new Derwent drawing ivory blacks 6700, and for everybody who doesn't know about this pencil, it is, in my opinion, the darkest pencil you can get as far as black goes. I mean, it is extremely, almost like a Sharpie. So it's really good for really pushing them dark colors and in the shadow. So I really want to play with this pencil, but I really want to keep the video down to a limit. I don't know if we'll finish the whole thing, but I think we'll just get it started and see where it's going to go. These flowers are creating a lot of light coming in. There is a light source, it looks like, from the upper parts coming down, and it's pretty true. There's no real secondary lighting affecting this, so I think what I'll allow to happen is for these, whatever color I go here, to affect some of this area, you know, and each one of them will send a little bit of color up into the image. So kind of looking at that, even back here, maybe a little bit of area around this, I'll kind of, you know, it's basically called the chroma of a color. Right now I put this yellow out here, it's going to want to be green, but then I can build up the chroma of the color, you know, slowly, and build it up, pushing it from, you know, I usually draw these little things, so you're going to push that from the dark up to this area here, and then you can go into the lighter areas. But I have a lot of that on other videos, so I'm just going to kind of look around and see if this is what I want to do with this. And I'm just going to play. I think yellow would work great in this environment. It could be a blue light, a green light, or anything like that. And just want to see. There's a cool thing about working with such a dark picture. Sometimes you can just come in here and touch something and let it be what it is. So, not really worried about the complexion yet. I think the lighting is very important to kind of see where this is going to go. So this is going to be affecting that stem right across the way there. So just a couple areas, and also maybe a few points out in the water. Something like that. We'll probably come back in with white and mess with these. I just want to get my colors down first. One thing I stress is get your hues first. Get your color down, then adjust your values, and then come back and adjust your chroma. And that just means, you know, get the color in, put it in its place, and then give it the correct amount of color for that position that you've placed. In the back, it's going to probably show less. But I'll just take this green. I'm not going to try to work through a whole bunch of different greens. I just feel on a green that I like, and I'm just going to start pulling this green through some of these areas. So I'm just getting the color. I'm not worried about the values or anything yet. I'm just getting some color on the page. I can use this kind of as a cheat sheet to see what's going on back there. Colors in the background are going to be so much more desaturated than I'm doing right here. Take something that's really not a white. Just kind of throw in some, back there's like some rocks and stuff. And I just want to see, is this the way that I want to go? I'm not worried about blending techniques or anything like that. I'm just trying to place some things, bring some things forward that I can see better what's going on. And I could probably come in with some grays, some of the like 30% grays, and try to define some of the stuff back here. I know her hair, I need to kind of come in and find what's going on in this hair here. There we go. Something's back there. I don't know what color I'm going to do them yet. I'm just trying to find stuff. There we go. Kind of pull it forward a little bit where it needs to be. Adjust out some of that value. Alright, so now let's look at skin tones. I'm not going to go with the normal orange that I would normally use. This is a darker complexion here. So I really don't think that fits what's going on. That's kind of like a burgundy red right there. I think I'll go with it. You'd probably be tempted to go with like a brown. But I'm just going to go with this. So I guess this is a brown. It's Perry something brown. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to start out in this dark area, and I'm going to get loosened up here. Whew. Relax my shoulders and stuff. Just so I can get into turning my page and stuff. Alright, so I'm going to start applying some color now. Kind of got the feel for where I want to go with it. And it's always going to look like something else when you first get it going, because you know, you're comparing this color to everything else around it. This is really going to be bold, stand out. But once you start, you know, coming in and you trust your decisions, you know, up front. And if you fail it, you know, print out another one, start over. If you're in a book, you know, you're trying to do stuff, and you might want to make your decisions on another piece of paper. I would suggest, if you're coloring out of books, most books have like maybe a blank page or the back of a page. Maybe there's a page where you didn't do so hot, but you know, you can just flip your page over, cut one out maybe in the front where it's given some, you know, who it was made by and all that stuff, and just cut that page out. That way you have an extra piece of page that's the same texture and everything as the one you're working on, and that can be your little playground, your little testing area. I don't mind if this goes a little red right here, because we just think back to our color wheel. If we do go a little red, you know, how do we correct that? And we would want to bring in, depending on which color wheel you're going to go with, you want to bring in, you could bring in some green and handle that, or you can bring in like a cyan, and that'll push that red back to more of a neutrally brownish color, because you're using your complementary colors. So don't get scared if you're doing something, you're like, oh Lord, this is red, and I don't want it. You come across it with some green. I usually, if I'm using something like this, I'll probably use like a, because it's more like a magenta color, I'll probably use something, you know, something more of maybe a bluish, light blue to bring it back under control. But if I'm using like blood red or scarlet red, then I'll probably use a green. It seems to work really good. I kind of lean into two different color theories. I like the cyan and the magenta are part of my primary, so I basically have 5 primary colors. So there we go there, and then it kind of changes out the wheel and everything. So if you look at red, here red on this wheel, you're looking at the cyan here. The magenta is going to pick up that green. So, and this is a magenta, so it could actually use that cyan to tone it down some. I'm just trying to build up slowly. We aren't in the finishing stages, you know. We're building our colors slowly. We'll get it all in there, but we just don't jump in with both feet. We sneak up on it. We're assassins. We're color assassins. We're gonna sneak in there. Take care of this picture. That picture I just completed, if we look at it, let me see, I threw it up here somewhere. If you look closely, you would be able to I don't know if you'll be able to tell now, but there's a lot of green through here. This was so red, I tamed it all down with a lot of green. So I came in with green and just kind of went over everything in these reddish, where it was really red, with green in that pushed it. You can see the green right there, right in there. So you can see that I use that to tame down some of those reds where it's not so bold. So we're not gonna get scared. There we go. Now what I'm doing with this pencil is I'm drawing little lines. And then you're going to see spaces in between those lines. And I'm just filling those spaces in. You can come in and cross-hatch over that. Just trying to find a good, there it is. Where it lays down perfect. It doesn't always do it, so you can't, you gotta adjust your pencil at your angle. You gotta angle it just right. Where you're getting that, where you're just barely hovering. And then you can go ahead and start hatching in the color. And once you get set up with your hand, where you're in a good position to do what I'm doing here, just move the paper. You don't want to pick your hand up and then mess up your... There we go. Oh, messing it up. I'll find it. There it is. So another, like a little lesson on your color wheel is I have in my mind where I'm going with this color. Based on what I know, I don't really have to have that color wheel right in front of me all the time. But it is good to have nearby when you're kind of indecisive. Kind of got an idea where I'm going. And I'll show you what part of the color wheel I'm dealing with is, hold on just a second. Really feeling it right there, that's doing good. There we go. Put some more across up here. All right, so we know we're dealing with red. This is, we're gonna call it red. So we've taken red and we push it up and over here, but when we desaturate these colors, we come over here to a lower chroma, medium chroma, let's call it. It is lower than that, that's high chroma, medium. Now we're getting into these, there's red ochre right there. So we know that as we desaturate these colors, take the chroma down, we get into, same thing, this is that red, there's that red, there's that red. So here's your Van Dyke brown, your burnt umber, your raw, I think it's called raw umber. But this is more like a burnt sienna, which is right in here. So we know where we're at as far as this is here. So we know what we need to do. You know, we can lighten this up and bring it almost down in, you know, into that range of pink. But over here, if we were going with the burnt umber, which is in our darker areas, we can really get down into these colors here. So here's our red, and we're playing. See how you can get these browns are based off of red. So I'm using red over here, pushing it. I've already pushed it because I didn't use a red pencil. I just went ahead and grabbed this. And I'm working over here in this right here, right? I don't really want to pick up the chroma too much because I don't want to go that way. I want to stay right in here. And then I can get all these beautiful browns and everything. So what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with red. We're dealing with the red orange. The deep, I guess this is just yellow. Going into that yellow there, here. So we're dealing over here on this side. And that's the same ones we would use for like a Caucasian, right? But we're jumping over here to this medium chroma. Or if we need to, for our shadows and stuff, we can come over here. So it's telling me what to basically use. Is this burnt sienna, which I just picked because I knew where I was going. But for someone that doesn't know where they're going, you may pick this up and just grab any brown or something like that. And you'd be right. I'm not trying to say don't, because that's where you're going. but at least know where you're at. Know who your friends are here, and who your complementaries are to what you're doing. So now we're looking over here. See this blue right here? It's this cerulean blue. That's your complementary color. So here I'm at this red ochre, let's say. Well, let's draw this. Let's follow this line right over here. So we're in between like a turquoise. So you'd probably want to break out a turquoise and play around, because if you get too brown or whatever, you can pull it back with turquoise and things like that. That's how I use a color wheel. So just a little side note of where we're at. Now we know we're here right now. We know we can go grab that turquoise and play around. If we were over here, you know, in this area, then we would be grabbing this cyan or the teal blue. So I hope you understand. It's kind of weird. And then when you're over here, you're dealing with this umber, this burnt umber, your Van Dyke brown, and your raw umber. You're going to look across, and now you got your Payne's gray, which is that really deep blue. So ivory black's even sitting right here, you know. And where would that be? Ivory black sitting across from that orangey area. So excuse me. So we're gonna, yeah, right across from that orange is where that's sitting. So as we desaturate or we push into these dark areas, now we know what our colors and our complementary colors are going to be as we're moving through this. This is awesome. I guess I could find the link and put that down into the description so you can go and get this. This is what oil painters kind of deal with right here. But it plays through. It's good theory. I love that theory right there. And it's a little bit different than your normal color wheel, but it just gets you where I'm going. You know, it gets me to where I want to go with a color. So I'm buzzing around in here, and I feel comfortable and confident because I just went up there and re-looked at things, and I said, okay, well, if I get into trouble with this color, I can kind of pull it back with like a cerulean blue. And I can actually go, if I made swatches of these pencils, and go and find, oh, there's a cerulean blue or something that matches this color. It can probably be most any blue that's darker. And I can kind of rein in that color a little bit if it gets out of control, if I go too red. So I can get in here and start really pushing and feeling comfortable and confident in my work. And I think that confidence is a really big deal, having that confidence. And I would also use that cerulean blue. I haven't went and found one yet, but I would use that to cool off some of these darker areas here, you know, or to push up underneath this eye and stuff like that. I hate that we don't get eyes on this one. I like doing eyes, but I like the composition is what I liked in this picture most. So now I can come here more confident and really get into my jumping around phases that I like to do. So I'm starting to feel good about it, so I can start jumping around a little bit. It's just hard to explain something sometimes that, you know, I'm not an expert in. I'm not a, you know, fine artist or anything like that. I just kind of like peeking over their shoulder and stealing their ideas. It's building up the hue of the color, trying to get it to where I want it. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of cruise across. If I can find it, it'd be nice. Yeah, I think that's good right there. I don't worry too much about little lines and stuff. It's not going to be perfect every time. You're going to put a few lines in. It's okay. You can work all that out. You're just trying to get your colors in there. Be bold in the shadows and have a lighter touch in these lighter areas. Always forget those ears. Yeah, I think we're getting close to where we want to be. Cool. All right, so now I'm gonna start pushing over this away more, you know, pushing this away. So how do we push that way? We push that way in this area with something like this darker yellow or yellow, whichever one we want to go with. So I'm just gonna kind of grab this darker yellow right here. I always wipe my pencil off my sleeve. I'm gonna grab this darker yellow. That's what this is. And I'm just gonna kind of come over here and start pushing back into some of these lighter areas. Remember, yellow and orange make I'm sorry, yellow and red make a, if you take yellow and red, make that red orange is what I call it. But in this situation where we're at, so we're over here, so we're gonna make that mid-tone right there, and we're gonna have, this is gonna be our light areas, our mid-tones, and then automatically we still have our red that we put in there. So we're gonna get a like a double whammy out of this. We're gonna get our highlighted area. We're gonna get some of these mid-tones out of here, and we'll get we still have that really dark red there. So it kind of brings everything together. See? Let's go down to her cheek and let's fix that up a little bit where she wants it. There we go. And then we'll just play out of there. And don't worry, I know I went a little orange there. It went crazy right there. That's fine. We'll fix that. Let's bring this right out to the tip of the nose here. Down the little side, little nostril. Up this back side. I don't want a lot of chroma back here. Not as much as I'm going to try to get out of this area. There we go. And in some areas we got, you know, we were here, we wanted to get to here, but if you look at this spot here, it pushed us into kind of in this zone over here. So we need to desaturate it to pull it back over. And you can use either black or white to desaturate a color. Just depends on which way you need to go with it. I don't really want to play around with too much white, so I like to do, God, this is gonna sound stupid. I like to do things that I call not whites. But it's like, that's not white, but it's very, very, you know what I'm saying? This is my not whites. But I don't even know why I came up with that, but that's kind of what I like to play with, the not whites in here. See what they're gonna do for me. It's gonna hit that red, I think, and really go to pink. And I don't want too much. I don't mind a little bit of pink. I don't want orange, because that's just kind of, we might as well went in there with orange, right? So it's gonna need to be, have some grays. Grays, whites, blacks, desaturate. So I'm gonna buzzer gray across there. I might have to get a blue. I don't know if I want to go this much gray. I think I want like a 30% gray here. I'm just showing you what's going through my brain. Kind of thinking out loud what I'm doing and why I do things. So let's take this right here. Kind of buzz through there. Try to desaturate that back to where we want it. I'm sure there's other people that may watch this and a lot more experience than me. It's like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. If so, put it in the comments. We'll all learn. I want to go into the lips with a more of a magenta, purpley color. A lot of times you can come back with the same color sometimes, like this this red, this burnt sienna look. And come back in, because we're changing that burnt sienna. It's not even burnt sienna anymore. I want to come in with this right here and I'm just going to do a little touch. Just here and there. It's kind of that magenta color. Because I don't know, you know, this could be more modern. She may have, I don't know, she may have some lipstick here. She's not, she looks very elegant, like she would be someone that would wear makeup. And so we might give her something like that right there. Yeah. I might come around and play with that a little bit to give it this highlights and stuff. And maybe above the eyes. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna try something here. This color right here is up there in that area. This is kind of more right in here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna come here and play just a second. I got a lot of pencil lines and stuff going on. I haven't burnished or anything. Very orange is exactly what I didn't want. Need a friend. There we go. We'll tame it with this blue. There we go. Now we're not so orange. Now we feel good. We can come here and play now, can't we? Go orange if you want to. I got your number. There we go. Goodbye, orange. Bye-bye. A lot of gray, a lot of your grays are bluish. Like let's hear those cool blue grays. So when you're working with the color that's over here and it's really hot, you know, really warm colors and stuff like that, and you want to tame something, you know, just look over on your color wheel. Find somebody on the other side that's willing to give you a hand there. And pull back some of that coloring. I don't mind this being soft in here, but too, because she's in a cave. Maybe the only real warm light is over here. And we can add some warmth to these too. We'll take where this darker area is, and I'm just going to add a little bit of red. Into this dark spot here. Maybe even come in with this blue at the bottom and go ahead and cool him off down here. Maybe it's a cooler light. It's almost that. I guess basically what we did is like a purple, which is complementary to that yellow. Let me come here and start picking the chroma up a little bit in the center. Now sometimes, like if there's a glow inside, you want it to be lighter and then you're darker on the outside. But I want this to kind of be here, and up the edge a little bit. Something like that. I got a little bit of that bright there, and we can push the color off a little with just a little bit of orange in those. Just pick it up a little bit. There. Put a little bit more blue, a little bit more red. Like that. Put this blue up in the shadow here. Bring some of the light from the petal out. that green down. There. Pick it up just a little bit better. I went a little too far. Cool. Push that blue a little bit further. There we go. So now I can start seeing the light coming over now. I've got that light. Go ahead and hit it like 2 or 3 times right here. Too orange. Too red. So I did by grabbing this pencil was to jump over here, grab these umbers and stuff like that. That's in my shadows right there, bringing it out. Yeah, I'm gonna need that now. I'm gonna start working on some of my values. Restart.